Hi, let me take you back to a headline I saw in early 2023. Traffic fatalities in the US hit a 16-year high despite advancements in vehicle safety. That got me thinking, in an age of AI, real time data, and automated cars, why are more people still dying on the roads? So, this project began with that question. We wanted to understand not just how many people die in crashes, but why, when, and how. Was it drunk driving, time of the day, poor weather, outdated roads, or just human behavior? Instead of guessing, we decided to use data. Over 80,000 detailed fatal crash records made publicly available by the US government. Using BigQuery and Looker Studio, we analyzed and visualized this data to uncover critical patterns that could help prevent the next crash. So, welcome to our dashboard driven investigation. Um, yeah, so our main agenda here is a roadmap of what we'll cover in this 20-minute session. So, the core of our work is our dashboard, which I'll be showing a bit later. And it's divided into four themes: overview, safety, behavior and timing, and vehicle and environment. And now let's go to literature survey, basically what the research says so far. So, road traffic safety is a well researched domain. According to the NHTSA, alcohol is involved in nearly 30% of all fatal crashes in the US. The CDC found that seatbelts reduce the risk of death by 45 to 50%. And WHO, the World Health Organization, classifies speeding, visibility, and road design as global risk factors. Most studies tend to focus on one factor at a time, like helmet use or late night driving. But in reality, crashes are multi casual. A drunk driver late at night in a poorly maintained truck on a rural road with bad visibility. Our goal wasn't just to confirm known facts, but to see how these factors interact and how predictable some of these crashes really are. Um, yeah, the data for this project comes from the Fatality Analysis Reporting System, or FARS, maintained by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, or the NHTSA. It's hosted on BigQuery, that is, it's a publicly available data set under this name. And we use several normalized tables for this purpose. It has over like more than 10 tables available in it, but these are the main tables that we used. The accident table, the person table, which contains demographics and injury outcomes, the vehicle table, which contains vehicle type and safety info, violation table contains traffic violations, and the vision table, which contains certain visibility conditions. Um, we join them using consecutive number and state number, which uniquely identify each crash. Every field, like injury severity, body type, light condition, name, was carefully verified using the NHTSA's official documentation. This data set is majorly used by researchers, policymakers, and journalists, and it provided a strong foundation for both statistical analysis and machine learning. Now, before we go into detail about the different analysis that we performed, I would like you to take a look at the dashboard, which can give you a brief overview of what we are doing. So, this is the dashboard that we created. So, like I said, it's the whole problem is divided into four. So, basic overview, safety, behavior and timing, and vehicle and environment. Okay, so let's start with the overview. Here we are looking at how fatal crashes have changed over time. What stood out immediately is that even during 2020, when traffic volume was down because of COVID, the fatalities still went up. That suggests a shift in driver behavior during lockdown: faster speeds, less enforcement, and riskier decisions. And if we break this down by month, you can see spikes around holidays, and like over here around holidays and in the summer travel, especially in July, October, and November. So timing really does take a huge part in this. And here we have the state level analysis, like the fatality rate because of traffic accidents in each state. Like as you can see, Texas has really high fatality rate with the total crashes of 3,190. Um, and yeah, And so over here we'll talk about safety, seat belts, helmet, and airbags. This chart over here shows that a significant number of fatalities, over 15,000, involved no restraint use. Like absolutely nothing was used. And helmet usage is also alarmingly low for motorcycle riders. And this chart shows fatality. This chart shows fatalities by airbag deployment status. You can see that the largest share of deaths occurred when airbags did not deploy, or the deployment status wasn't even recorded. So these systems are actually life saving, but only if they're used and working properly. Yeah. So here we also explored where people actually die. Around 75% died at the scene, with very few making it to the hospital. This tells us that emergency response speed and crash severity are major factors in survival. And and this is behavior and timing. Yeah, behavior and timing is also really important. So this basically shows drunk drivers and around what time they are the reason for fatalities. So as we can see, it's usually in the early morning time, early midnight times, and also like late at night times. So this provides some interesting insights as to how policymakers can utilize this and decide when to keep security higher, when to have more, road traffic personnels and police at this at place at like really crowded places in the city, so that there can be like better policies for avoiding drunken drivers. And now, finally, we look at vehicle and environment. We found that sedans, pickup trucks, and compact SUVs had the most fatalities, which isn't surprising because they're common. But it raises questions about design safety and driver behavior in those vehicles. We also linked road type with age group. Young adults and seniors are most affected on interstate and principal arterials, which are basically the fastest roads. This can help target road safety improvements by age and region. And finally, visibility and violations. Visibility plays a huge role too. Over 9,000 fatalities happened in bad weather or low visibility, like rain, fog, or sun glare. And we saw spikes in crashes where violations like reckless driving, hit and run, or even manslaughter were charged. This supports stricter enforcement but also better vehicle lighting and road signage in low visibility zones. And now let's go into detail for everything. So, yeah, first, how deadly are actually the US roads, right? Um, yeah, so this section provides a high level view of total traffic fatalities across the years. It highlights annual trends and serve as a foundation for deeper analysis. Like like we discussed in the dashboard, over the in 1 year there was like an exponential increase in fatalities due to accidents. Um, Yeah. Now let's move on to fatalities by month. So this is basically when do fatal crashes mostly occur, and we can see that there are a lot of crashes when it comes to the months which are prone to a lot of holidays. So basically, we examine the seasonality of traffic fatalities, and visualizing crashes by month helps identify high risk periods and informs time based prevention strategies. Fatalities tend to spike during the summer and the late fall. particularly in July, August, and November. These months align with holiday travel periods and seasonal changes, indicating the need for targeted awareness and campaigns during these times. And now we'll look at fatalities by state from the accident tables. So, where do most fatalities occur? This page breaks down the fatal crashes by state, helping identify geographic hotspots. States with higher fatality counts can be prioritized for policy intervention. Um, this tells this tells us that emptier roads may have led to riskier behavior like speeding or reduced law enforcement activity. We also broke down fatalities by month and found spikes in July, October, and November due to holiday travel, like discussed in the previous slides. And it's also no surprise that California, Texas, and Florida rank highest because, especially because they have really large populations and heavy traffic. But then, if you explore further, you can see that states like Alaska or Rhode Island have higher fatality rates per crash, which will be shown in future slides, which is gonna tell a more urgent story. Yeah. Now, this is victim demographic profile. Who are the victims of this fatal crash? We analyze the demographic distribution, that is, age and sex of fatalities, to uncover vulnerable populations and tailor safety campaigns. The majority of fatalities are among males who make up 65% of deaths. Combined with behavioral insights, this suggests that risk taking behavior like speeding and DUI is more prevalent among young men, especially young males. Um, yeah, and this is injury severity and role. Who gets hurt the most and how badly? So, this section links injury outcomes with person types, that is, driver, passenger, pedestrians, giving insight into crash impact across different roles. And like over here, you can see that driver of a motor vehicle in transport, no apparent injury, but then there's a lot. So but then um, person on personal conveyance, there's like it's categorized as severe injury and the count is 160. So the highest fatality rates are among motor vehicle drivers, followed by pedestrians and bicyclists. So this indicates that the non-occupant road users are still in substantial risk, warranting better urban design and crosswalk safety measures. Yeah, and now this is the safety part, helmet use versus fatalities. So this section and the slides follow, a few slides following this is going to explore whether safety measures actually work. Um, so over here we can see that only 41,000 fatalities involved lap and shoulder belt use. Over 15,000 people died without using any restraint. Helmet use is even lower, especially for motorcyclists and cyclists. When we look at and then when we look at airbags, we found that 25,000 plus fatal crashes, the airbags didn't deploy at all. Whether that's a mechanical failure or impact angle, it shows that restraint plus airbag together offer the most protection. And and now, where are people dying? Roughly 75% died at the scene, and less than 1% en route to a hospital, meaning that EMS response time is critical.
Which state has the deadliest crashes per event. So in this slide we will see the average fatality rate, because as we saw in the previous slides, the number of fatalities depend highly on the population of the state, which doesn't give a full picture. So here we can see the average fatality rate, and Rhode Island only has 41 crashes, but the average fatality rate is the highest, 2.68. Rhode Island, Michigan, and Alaska has the highest average fatalities per crash, despite having fewer total crashes. This indicates that crashes in these areas, though less frequent, are more severe, possibly due to rural roads, speed, or emergency service delays. Fatality risk by vehicle type. We also looked at vehicle and environment risk factors. Four-door sedans have the most fatalities, they're, they're the most common. But pickup trucks, vans, and compact SUVs also show high numbers, possibly due to rural driving or less restraint use. Next, we examine road type. Are young or old people more at risk on certain roads? This section on this slide we explain two things. This section links to the road classification to age group risk. Young adults and adults are the most affected across all road types. And in this graph, we show that principal arterials and intersections are see the most fatalities. Principal, this might point to speeding, merging challenges, or distracted driver. We also saw over 9,000 fatalities occur in low visibility conditions. Uh, we saw that 9,000 fatalities occur in low visibility conditions like fog, sun glare, or snow. Investing in better visibility systems like adaptive headlights and driver alerts could be life saving. Which violations are most associated with fatal crashes? We explore the link between traffic violations, for example, a reckless driving, a hit and run, and fatal crashes, identifying high risk behaviors. We noticed that most fatalities had no violation reported, but thousands occur under reckless driving, hit and run, fleeing police, or a manslaughter charges. A significant portion of fatal crashes involve criminal or high risk behavior, which supports stricter traffic law enforcement. What's the injury distribution across crashes? This page shows the severity of injuries across incidents to help quantify the burden beyond just fatalities. Fatality injuries account for over 43% of recorded outcomes. Only 24% involved no apparent injury, and others were severe or minor. This highlights the lethal nature of these incidents and emphasizes why proactive prevention is essential. Drunk drivers versus time. Can we predict severe crashes? Using logical regression and BigQuery machine learning, we built a model to predict whether a crash will result in multiple fatalities based on crash characteristics. The model uses features like drunk driving, daytime, vehicle type, and location. Evaluation results show promising accuracy, demonstrating the power of machine learning in anticipating high risk crashes. Um, we Here are the biggest things that we learned. Alcohol and timing are the deadliest combination for fatalities. Safety equipments like belts, helmets, and airbags do save lives. Some vehicle types and roads are inherently more dangerous than others. Visibility and reckless violations are major but often overlooked. And finally, machine learning adds real value by identifying risk ahead of time. Um, in future research, this dashboard and model are just the beginning. We want to expand to all years. From the database is from 2015 to 2023 to see post-COVID trends, and we want to integrate NOAA weather data to quantify visibility and storm impact. We want to train better models like XGBoost and or neural nets, and build a real-time crash risk dashboard that cities or even Google Maps could use to issue driver alerts. This is the future of public safety. We hope this project helps spark action in how we think about crash prevention, not after it happens, but before. Thank you.